Welcome back to La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. I am Brett Chapin, and that's Bonnie Sludikoff. Guys, we have on the line, live from New York. Oh, and actually, we also had Daisy Eagan from D.C. Hey, Daisy.
Hi, guys.
And on the line, live from New York, we have Mr. Seth Ruditsky, SiriusXM on Broadway host. Hey, Seth.
Hello.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, good.
So, Seth, you've done a lot of work, with SiriusXM, a lot of work on Broadway. Your resume is just ridiculous with different things that you're doing. But I wanted to kind of start off talking to you a little bit about your early education. You went to Hewlett High School and Oberlin College. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
And what you studied piano performance. How did you enjoy your education at Oberlin?
I loved Oberlin. I don't really know why I was a classical piano major, because I knew I was never going to be a concert pianist. I think, I don't know why I didn't major in theater. I literally do not really know, except for maybe, I had a war with my theater teacher in high school, and I sort of got, blacklisted, halfway through my high school career. So maybe, because I wasn't pursuing theater my last 2 years, I didn't pursue it in college, and then I auditioned to be a classical piano major, and I think I was so shocked I got into Oberlin, and also got in early admission, that I was like, I guess I'm going to be a piano major. So I wasn't really pursuing necessarily what I wanted to do, but I loved Oberlin. I mean, it's so liberal, and it's so incredibly creative. I mean, all these incredibly talented people, all these people even in the college that, because it's a conservatory in college, those people in college that were incredibly talented, not even pursuing their artistic talents. It was just, you were just surrounded by really smart, really creative people. So I definitely loved Oberlin.
Yeah, I can imagine, definitely. And you said you got into a war with your high school drama teacher. Look who's laughing now, huh?
Oh, yeah, he's a dick. I mean, really the show that kind of put me on the map that I wrote, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, I did it off Broadway called Rhapsody and Seth. I fully featured him in it. I mean, at the beginning of the show, I say, they say that living well is the best way to get revenge upon your enemies. But I found that being artistic and creative, doing a show and talking about your enemies and using their real names is the best way. Welcome to my show. So it's I definitely got my revenge on him, because he was a dioc.
Sounds like it. Well, plus with all your success in acting, you definitely got revenge on him too.
Yeah, I guess. I did run into him 2 years ago at South Pacific, and it was just bizarre. I mean, within 1 second, he's like, my daughter no longer speaks to me. I'm like, why are you revealing that to me? It was so awkward. I am.
Yeah, well, I can't say I blame her from what you've described.
Yeah, I mean, he just wasn't a nice guy. Whatever. It was one of those, I think, he was, quote-unquote, trying to teach me a lesson for having a lot of hubris, and he didn't really teach it to me. He just kind of came down to my level of, a 14-year-old and, challenged me at that level instead of, being an adult and, helping me grow as an artist. He did say that being a pianist is something you do solitary, but being a theater is something you do with other people, so I will never, ever succeed in theater and only will succeed as a musician. So he can suck it.
Huh. Look who's laughing now. Well, all right. So you went on from high school, you went to Oberlin, and then how did you end up at SiriusXM?
Whoa, that was a lot of years later.
Yeah, skipping around a little.
When I was at Oberlin, I had a radio show, because I just, I love playing Broadway music, and they had this, I can't remember. Anyway, it was called OB something. But the point is, I had my own radio show, and I used to always make cassette tapes of myself doing this show. And years, my mom would always listen to it, and she'd always be like, "You should have your own Broadway radio show." And I'd always yell at her, "There's no such thing in the real world!" Just so angry at her for suggesting something. It was sort of you should do a radio show from the moon. I didn't know what she's talking about. There isn't a Broadway radio show that I should be having. So I just would glare at her and also literally scream. And then I began doing this talk show called The Chatterbox, which was an interview show that I still do once a week. It's a fundraiser for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, but it allowed me to interview people from Broadway for a full hour instead of the horrific interviews I would see on TV. I remember I was doing a big concert of Funny Girl, and Jane Krakowski was in it, and she was on the Today Show or something like that. And they're like, "So Jane, you're doing Funny Girl, but this time we hear it's a musical." Obviously they got notes from the producer about it, and they heard the word musical, Funny Girl, and they didn't even know. It's you're idiots. So I was I really want to do an hour-long interview show where I could really talk to Broadway people in depth about their careers and get the funny stories and the details. So anyway, I then wrote that show, Rhapsody and Seth, that featured my theater teacher, and I was asked to be interviewed on Sirius. Actually, it was just Sirius back then. So I went to the interview, and it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I had like full B. Arthur speaking voice, and totally actually was completely crabby. But then after I had the interview, the guy from the Broadway channel was there, and he said, "Oh, you're so good on the radio. You should have your own show." And I was like, "That's your version of good on the radio?" And then he said, "Do you have any kind of record of yourself doing anything like that?" And I said, "Well, I have this interview show. I can give you just a recording of me interviewing B.B. Newirth." And then I gave him the recording. I didn't hear anything for months. And then just randomly they called me and they said, "Okay, well, can you do 2 shows, Saturday night and Sunday night," which I now know is like the graveyard shift on Sirius. Like they put like the people that no one will ever want to listen to. So I said, "Yeah, I'll do that." So I did 2 shows, and like
why we're on Saturday?
Like Saturday night and Sunday, not as early as this show. It was like late night. It was like 9 o'clock or something. But I did 2 of them, and then like a week later, they're like, "We want you on 7 days a week." So it was just, I didn't pursue the job. It just kind of came to me, and that was around almost 10 years ago.
Wow. You never know what to expect, do you?
Yeah, you really don't. And my mother, I guess, was right, which is the annoying lesson.
And speaking of your mom, I actually was listening. I'm personally have a Sirius XM system, and I was listening live to your Live on Broadway show one day when you sang a song to your mom, who was in the audience.
That stupid thing? Oh, brother. I just did that. I have every week I have to make up another stupid song that I got to introduce the show with, so I just kind of make up whatever happened. And my mother just had this bizarre dream that she's like, "I remember seeing you in a dream, and you were wearing an all-white suit with white shoes." And I thought, I knew Seth was gay, but not that gay. I don't even know what that means. So anyway, I just sang a song to her. Any event I'm at, my mother is there lurking somewhere. If not in the audience, it's just in my head nagging me.
Well, I mean, clearly there's a different level of gay when you're wearing a white suit, I guess. I don't know.
I guess so. It actually seems very kind of lesbianic to me. Hey, man, it seems like that kind of like lesbian wedding, an all-white suit. Anywho.
Anywho.
It was a good song. I totally saw that on YouTube. It was awesome.
Oh, God. It's so embarrassing. I don't know why the hell they posted that. Anyway, all right.
Seth, it actually has a lot of views. You should check it out.
But it's so dumb because I think they literally don't get the setup. They're just like, here's a song, and then I sing the song, and it's like, it's only funny, I feel, if you know that you had the dream of it. Oh, whatever.
I think you actually give the setup before the
Do
song.
I?
Yeah.
All right, I guess then it is funny.
Pretty
Whatever.
awesome.
My eyes are rolling. Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on. You're still doing SiriusXM's Live on Broadway from Times Square every day?
No, I have not done that for a year. We lost, I think, the show stopped back last May, and then I do a show on, I have a whole show on the Stars channel, which is like the talk channel, like Barbara Walters is on. It's called Seth Speaks, and I was doing that for a year, and then started last May, and the Broadway channel said, "Can we sort of appropriate that show since it has a live audience anyway, and turn it back into kind of the Live on Broadway show?" So I have Seth Speaks on the talk channel on Stars, one on I think tomorrow at 5 o'clock, and then it goes on the Broadway channel with Seth Speaks Broadway, sort of like kind of Broadway. Like we add like an extra segment. So anyway, we don't do the one from Times Square anymore, but we do the talk show with the live audience.
Awesome. Guys, for any information on Seth, visit SethTV.com. That is his TV station. And, it has all the information on him. Seth, I got a surprise for you.
You do?
Your mom is online, too.
You're not serious.
I'm dead serious.
Sally Ruditsky?
Yes, sir. We'll be right back to talk to you and your mom on La La Land with Brett and Daisy on CRN Digital Talk. Welcome back to La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. I am Brett Chapin, and that's Bonnie Sludikoff. We had Daisy Eagan on the line, but she had to take off, but she said she would call back if she was able to. And we're talking with SiriusXM on Broadway host, Seth Ruditsky. Hey, Seth.
Oh, wow.
So I just wanted to let you know this is not a setup. Your mom called in, and we're happy to have online too Seth's mom, Sally Ruditsky. Hi, Sally.
Hi.
Is this a 7-hour show? Because it's going to have to be. My mom's on the line.
You heard us talking about you, didn't you, Sally?
I certainly do know who's talking about me, who never told me he was going to be doing this interview today or a podcast.
You don't even know how to turn on a computer. Why would I tell you? You literally,
I know that,
this printing is downloading.
Look at
go, I can't download anything. My printer is broken. You don't know anything about computers. Of course I didn't tell you.
That's possible.
Do you guys want to take over? I can sit back and...
No, I wasn't expecting someone to be calling in. Hello,
I don't want to hear it.
Hey,
Secondly, you always make me sound like a crazy person.
Right.
What
And
did you say? Right.
it's called describing your actions.
Well, you have to remember, everyone says I'm great for 80 years old. I was going to talk about all the things that are wrong with me, but I instead, I know you're going to love this. I'm going to sing your favorite song, just the beginning of it, with my own words, probably, because I don't know words.
Love to hear it.
Macho man.
She always has an extra beat.
I want to
It makes me
be
crazy.
a macho man.
Mother, it's macho, man. Why is there a third macho?
No. It needs the other macho in it. No,
Mother.
it needs a third one.
This show has taken an interesting turn, Monty.
Do you have an actual
In a
question
rewrite
for
of a
me?
song, he's extra macho now.
Obviously.
It's for questions, not
It's
just
my
Robert Jess, Mother. Do you have a question?
Hey, I have a question for you, Sally.
Sure.
Growing up, raising Seth and seeing him go through childhood and all that, did you ever think that he would get to the level of success that he's gotten to? I'm sure you were a big part of that.
I was totally the reason for his success.
Clearly.
I don't know what you mean. A big part, the whole part.
The whole
But
part.
the question was not weird.
Although,
The question was, did you think I would be?
I never thought that he would be doing all of the things he's doing. When he was at Oberlin and freshman year, and he played and conducted with a group of musicians, an orchestra, Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue, because he knew that was one of my favorite pieces, and I had seen Bernstein do it. At the same time, he had to do his freshman piano recital. So I can't remember if he played Brahms or Chopin or one of those good guys. And then he was a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum.
Did he play Pseudolus?
No, I was hysterical.
Pardon?
Oh, sir. Okay.
So I said to him, because I'm always right and I have very good advice, I said, Seth, you cannot live your life like this. You have to choose one career and only that and focus on it.
Makes sense.
Either you want to be a conductor, a classical musician, an actor, be a comedian. You just can't do all of these things. And as usual, Seth Ruditsky never listened to me.
No.
And each time he told me Seth, you ought to tell the time you tried stand-up comedy at the club in New York and how successful, in quotes, you were.
Oh, that is successful in quotes. That was the first time I ever did it. That is true. Well, the first time I went on, I actually did really well. Everyone always said you should be a stand-up comic, so I said, I'll try it, and I did it, and it was a contest, actually, and I made it to the semifinals, and I was like, oh, my God, I guess I am really talented. And then I went into the semifinals, and, I bombed so badly, I cannot even tell you, where, the woman running the contest, she was like, I don't know what that was. That wasn't called stand-up. I don't know what that was.
Oh, my gosh.
I was devastated, and then, but I knew I could go back to the contest the following week because it was free, and I knew that if I practiced, I'd probably get better, so I forced myself to go back, and as soon as I walked in, this comic said to me, boy, I thought you quit business. Devastating. And then I kept going back every single week, made it back to the semifinals, made it to the finals, and I won. So actually, that's a good story, Mother. A grand prize.
There you go. You were persistent.
True that.
Hey, Sally, we love that you called in. Can you stay on for one more segment with us?
Oh, sure.
Okay, perfect. We're talking with the amazing Seth Ruditsky from SiriusXM's On Broadway. He's a host. He's an encyclopedia of Broadway knowledge. If you have any questions for him, go ahead and give us a call at 1-800-336-2225. That's 1-800-336-2225. Pretty cool, huh, Money?
Super cool. Seth Ruditsky and his mom. That's a good Saturday.
Love it. Back on La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. Welcome back to La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. I am Brett Chapin. That is guest co-host Bonnie Sludikoff. We're talking with the amazing Seth Ruditsky from SiriusXM on Broadway and Seth's mom, Sally. Hi to both of you.
Oh, it's very nice getting on the air and talking with you all.
Yes, thanks so much for calling in, Bonnie. It's great to get your insights as well. You know Seth better than anyone. And we actually have a caller with a question for you, Seth. This is Jaron from Los Angeles. Hey, Jaron.
Hi, I'm Jaron.
Excuse me, Jaron.
Hi, John.
Yeah, no problem. Well, hey Seth, I'm a huge fan of the show and a huge fan of all the stuff you're doing. And I'm so glad that you keep us in touch, with New York. And my question for you really is, I just graduated from school, hoping to pursue a career in acting. I'm going to move into New York, in the fall. But I just wondered, what you think makes someone great. Do you have to be an impeccable singer, or is it the work ethic? What do you think makes a Broadway star a star?
Good question.
I think it's the ability to be yourself at an audition. I think that's what makes someone stand out from just being a chorus person. There are a lot of people that have really fun personalities, and then they go into the audition room and they become very ensemble member because they're just like, I'm putting on an act, I'm a leading man with my suit and tie and my pretty voice. The more you can show casting people who you are and all the different quirks and peccadillos you have, the more you will stand out as a star.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's not about technical singing. Just ask Elaine Stritch.
You
know what I mean? It's
yeah.
the worst voice in the world, yet crazy star. So it's really just about being specifically yourself and not trying to be somebody else.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks so much for calling, Jaron.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks so much, Seth. Talk to you guys soon. See you soon up in New York.
See you in New York, Jaron.
All right.
Thanks, Jaron. So, Seth, you do a lot of... you've written 3 books, as far as I know. One, Broadway Nights, also The Q Guide to Broadway, and My Awesome Awful Popularity Plan, which is a young adult book.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that book?
That book... By the way, every time I mention the book, people are just like, so it's your biography. I'm like, no. And then my friend was like, so someone else helped you write it. I'm like, no, it's called I Wrote a Book. Bug off. Anyway, literally, someone should answer that recently. No one helped me write it. It's called I Wrote a Book about a young... I made it up. It's called I Wrote a Fiction Book. Anyway, my book agent said that if I wrote a young adult book that featured a teenage gay character, it would get published in 1 minute. He said there's a big demand for it. So I almost kind of wrote it on spec. I didn't necessarily have this burning desire to write a young adult book, even though I love young adult books. He just told me that if I write it, I would get it published by a big publishing house. So I went to my computer and I just started writing a story that I thought would be really fun. It's kind of my signature character. I always kind of write a character that's kind of sort of an exaggerated version of me, very pushy and very opinionated and comes up with all these schemes and plans, very like Lucille Ball, on I Love Lucy, always coming up with schemes and plans that completely backfire. Mm-hmm. So it's about this kind of overweight Jewish 15-year-old with a Jew-fro, or an Isro, as we say, who is really unpopular, as I was, and comes up with a plan to become much more popular. And he decides that this is the year he's going to date this popular guy in school, this big football player. And it just sort of works out that he winds up dating a girl secretly. The point is he dates the football player's girlfriend to get to the football player, and it's this enormous scheme that keeps spiraling out of control. And it's kind of like Bridget Jones' Diary. It's that kind of comedy. There are not very many comedic young adult books, and I wanted to write one, so it's kind of high comedy. And my agent was right, because we sent it to Random House, and literally 3 weeks later we had a contract. It was amazing. Wow. And now, as my mother knows, I have another contract to write the sequel, and every day my mother writes me, have you finished it yet? No, and I'm 3 weeks late. So thank you, Mother, for bringing that up.
You're keeping them on track, Sally?
Well, I try.
It's not working.
I bother him a lot. You should be finishing that book instead of... Yeah. But I never finished that sentence.
I know, exactly. I'll do it. I think it's my...
Finish the book.
It's called My Terrific, Terrifying Time in New York. It's the following year, and the kid goes to New York for winter.
Hello?
Oh, I'm still here?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's a hello about?
Oh.
What do you mean, oh?
No.
I'm still on.
You're still on.
I thought you cut me off.
But believe me, I'm trying to, but I don't have the technology to be able to do that. Anyway, yes, keep going.
That's so funny, because that's what I do when you speak. All the time.
You guys, the two of you really need a show together, Seth.
Really? Who listens to it besides you?
Seth,
All right.
do you hear that? And it should be, it should be including my singing and dancing.
Really? You can barely walk, Mother. You've admitted it yourself.
Yeah. No, I
Like my
have a
foot
hard
hurts.
time standing in one place, but I can, move.
Anyway,
Sort
this
of.
is supposed to be about me.
Move.
Would you have any other
Seth
questions,
made me a
host?
big surprise.
Yes.
birthday party.
I do.
Why don't I have this got transferred to her? Yes, go.
Because we love Sally, Seth.
Yes,
She's
we all
great.
love Sally. Mother, someone already tweeted that we need to have our own show, so perhaps there will be 2 listeners. I will investigate. Let's
There
do
you
that.
go. Hey, Seth, tell me what you're doing in Provincetown right now. You have a show out there?
Yes, next week I begin. I'm doing 2 things. I'm doing a Broadway series at the Art House, which I did last year, and this year we're starting with Patty the Pone. She's next week, and I just found out that all 3 of her shows sold out, so we actually added a 4th show.
All right.
That's going to be me and Patty, and like I interview them, and then they sing. It's me and Patty, me and Megan Mullally, me and Charles Bush, Mario Cantone, Alice Ripley, Faith Prince, and then I do the show called Deconstructing 70s Variety Show. It's a show where I show all these clips in the Brady Bunch Variety Hour, and I deconstruct them. So every week I'm flying back and forth to Provincetown. I'm very excited. I love it there.
That's great. That's great. You stay so busy, Seth. I don't know when you have time to sleep.
I take after my mother, who's 80 years old, and I'll call her. She's like, I'm in the middle of shopping. I'll call you back. She's literally constantly running around, even though every single bone in her body is broken. So we're cut from the same cloth.
You laugh, but it's true.
It is true. No, she's not joking. All right, we're going to another break.
We're going to another break. Yes. Thank you so much for calling, Sally.
Thank
You're
you,
very
Mom.
welcome.
I'll
It
text
was
you
a
later.
pleasure, and I love the show.
Thank you so much. Guys, we're talking with the amazing Seth Ruditsky from SiriusXM's On Broadway channel. If you have any questions for Seth, make sure you give us a call at 1-800-336-2225. That's 1-800-336-2225. How you doing over there, Bonnie?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. We're going to be back in just a minute to talk with the amazing Seth Ruditsky. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at facebook.com/LaLaLandTalk and twitter.com/LaLaLandTalk. La La Land with Brett and Bonnie on CRN Digital Talk. Welcome back to La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. I am Brett Chapin. That's Bonnie Sludikoff. We're talking with SiriusXM On Broadway host Seth Ruditsky. If you have any questions for Seth, make sure you give us a call at 1-800-336-2225. That's 1-800-336-2225. You know, Seth, Bonnie and I were talking in the break, and she was saying that your mom reminds her a lot of her own mom.
Oh, very sweet. Thank you. I hope that's a good thing.
It is good. And I like what she said about like keeping you on track. She calls you up. Like maybe that could be like a new iPhone app, like the Jewish mother.
Oh,
It'll keep you
God.
for tasks. How long do you have to complete this task?
Why do I need the app? She does it without the app.
That's true.
Love it. You need to start marketing that. Seth, I wanted to talk a little bit about your involvement with Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. It's an amazing charity. Can you tell us a little bit about what the work you've done for them?
Yeah, they're a very good charity because what they do, they're an umbrella organization. So all these little tiny AIDS organizations, like like a soup kitchen in Georgia, or like a free clinic and whatever, Valdosta, whatever. They get grants from Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. So they're the umbrella organization, and they give to all these organizations, really all over the world, including the West End and South Africa. They started this stuff where I like doing volunteer work with stuff that I can actually do, that I'm good at, because I used to volunteer at God's Love We Deliver, which is food, and I'm like the worst cook in the world, so it was moronic that I was volunteering there in the kitchen when that's not my actual talent. So Broadway Cares does a lot of show-related volunteer work. So I began working for them. They do this thing called the Easter Bonnet competition, where all these Broadway shows put on kind of like a big variety show after they've collected money for 6 weeks for Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS. They put on this big variety show kind of featuring Easter bonnet hats. That's sort of the guise of it, and it's completely star-studded. Like the biggest stars in the world do it. So I began working on that probably 1991 or 1992 as a rehearsal pianist, and then I began writing like sketches for the shows that I was working in. Like I worked on the show Grease, I wrote a sketch for that, and then they asked me to write the opening number. So I began doing that for a lot of years, and I actually created a lot of them with Chris Catelli. It was kind of his first gig as a choreographer, and now Chris has won the Tony Award for doing Newsies, so it was very exciting, like his sort of progression. And then I began hosting the same sort of event called Gypsy of the Year, and I've hosted it for the last probably 4 years. And the most amazing part was sharing a dressing room with Hugh Jackman and Daniel Craig.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was amazing, yet I've never felt uglier or fatter. But besides that, it was great. So anyway, I do a lot of work for them. They're just a great organization, and part of the proceeds from my network, from Seth TV, go to Broadway Cares, and another part go to the Actors Fund, which are the two big organizations that I work with all the time.
Guys, check them out on the internet. They're an amazing charity. Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS, and also the Actors Fund.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to ask you, you've got a movie in post-production right now, Varla Jean and the Mushroom Heads?
Oh, God, you've got to check my website. You're under the guise that my website's been updated since 1971. Literally, the movie's been out for the last year. It's been in all these festivals. Varla Jean is probably like the top 3 most talented people I've ever met in my life. Jeffrey Roberson, he's just a genius. He's so hilarious, and he wrote this movie called Varla Jean and the Mushroom Heads, based on his character Varla Jean Merman, who's supposed to be the illegitimate daughter of Ethel Merman and Ernest Borgnine, and she's just this kind of narcissistic, no talent. And Varla decides that since most of her audience are gay men, they're getting too old and they're dying, so she decides to market herself to kids, and she decides to write a kids' television pilot called Varla Jean and the Mushroom Heads, and she hires me. I play Seth Ruditsky. She hires me to write the score, but she doesn't ever have any money. Like, I keep asking to get paid, and she's like, here you go. And I'm like, this is a coupon. She like an Advil coupon. Anyway, so the movie, we filmed it last year, and it's been doing really well at all the different festivals. It's hilarious.
Check it out, Varla Jean and the Mushroom Head. Sounds great. It's actually listed on IMDb in post-production, so that's strange.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally has been playing I don't know what post-production means because I'm from the Broadway world, so maybe that is what is considered now. But I know that it's been shown at film festivals, so I would think it's past. Well, I don't know. What does post-production mean?
I thought that meant it hasn't come out yet. I thought that meant they're in the editing phase.
No, that's you know what. Let me just say, we made it. It's been shown at festivals, and it's funny. But I don't know what the actual official term for that is.
Sounds awesome. And then you also wrote with Jack Plotnick a movie musical called Disaster.
Yes. Well, it's a musical based on movies. But it's a lie. It's not a movie at all. It's a live show.
It's a live show.
We wrote. It's a jukebox musical, meaning it's all songs from the '70s, and it's essentially a full musical, but kind of. Based on all those amazing disaster movies that were in the 70s, and we have all the disasters in the actual show. So it's a full plot. Like, it's about the first floating casino ever in New York City, in 1979, but unfortunately the casino's in the Hudson River, and it's drilled directly into a fault line. So on the night of the big opening, there's an earthquake and a fire and a tidal wave and killer bees and piranhas and a shark. Like, every single disaster happens, and it's a musical, so there are all these amazing songs from the 70s that happen throughout the show, and Jack and I wrote it in around 3 months, and we did it one night for this benefit, and then we decided to just put it up ourselves in New York once a week, and like the third performance, the New York Times came, and I didn't know they were coming, and it was literally one of the worst performances I've ever given, and I was devastated, and yet we got like the best review in the world, which kind of just goes to show like either you can't judge yourself or critics are stupid. But regardless, we got this amazing New York Times review, and now we're waiting to reopen it in a larger theater.
That's fantastic. And it's co-written with Jack Plotnick, who, by the way, is an incredible acting coach here in Los Angeles. Guys, check him out at jackplotnick.com.
Oh, my God. He's an amazing acting coach. When I went to go visit Sutton Foster backstage at her Broadway show, she had Jack Plotnick's affirmations from his website photocopied right next to her mirror.
I say his affirmations before every audition, definitely.
Oh, he's the best.
The guy's fantastic. And then I also wanted to ask you, I saw something about you did an episode of Law & Order, Criminal Intent?
CI. Yeah, what about it?
What was your role?
You know, every single role is the same, information giver. And I gave information in the guise of a real estate agent, but it's all the exact same role. So there was a restaurant critic who died, and I was one of her friends. I was at dinner that night, and I said that she ordered
Welcome back to La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. I'm Brett Chapin. That's Bonnie Sludikoff. We're talking with SiriusXM on Broadway host Seth Ruditsky. Last chance, guys. If you have any questions for Seth, make sure you give us a call at 1-800-336-2225. That's 1-800-336-2225. And we had to cut Seth off due to a technical glitch. But Seth, can you finish up that story that you were telling about Law & Order Criminal Intent? I didn't want to cut you off.
Oh, just, every role on that show usually is just someone giving information about something, but they just gussied up with a character. So I was a real estate agent who was the best friend of a restaurant critic who died, and the information I gave out is that they had a special that night that was like conch, is that right? C-U-N-C-H, but it was like a rare food, and they're like, oh, they offered her something rare, that's why she ordered it. So anyway, that was my amazing role. But I'll tell you, to this day I get residual checks, and they are delicious.
You got to love that. That's great.
100%.
You know, it's so funny because we talked to Julie James last week, who's another amazing host on SiriusXM on Broadway. And I told her that Daisy wasn't going to be here today and that I would be interviewing you by myself with what I thought at the time because we didn't know Bonnie was coming in. And she said, good luck with that. So she had me a little scared, but you're really nice, Seth.
Good luck with that what?
Good luck with that. Like, it's going to be a challenge, but it hasn't been a challenge. You've been great.
Wonderful.
Yes. So,
I think she meant because Daisy and I go way back.
Oh, yeah. So Daisy would have a little, some old stories to tell.
More insights on the inner me.
I hear you.
I have a question.
Also, I only speak to Tony winners. Yes, can I help you?
So, I was thinking back to, I know you talk to everyone who's anyone in Broadway, in the Broadway world. And I remember when, I'm usually the first one to hear about, like, the new Broadway stars, because I do a lot of, like, I'll be on YouTube or I'll always be looking around for what the new musicals are. And I remember when I first heard of Kristen Chenoweth, and I was, like, one of the first people. Like, she was on the Rosie O'Donnell show, and she was
debuting. It's not going to be one of the first people. When someone's on a TV show, it's not going to be one of the first people. Keep going. The
first in my community of friends.
National show. That's totally my grandmother. I discovered Bette Midler on the Merv Griffin show. All right, go on.
That's a good point. But of anybody in my circle, which to me was my whole world, because I was like 12 or 13 or something.
Right.
Anyways, and nobody had heard of her in my community. And we don't really have that venue anymore. Like, I think that was on the Rosie show, which was a while back.
Yeah.
And every couple of years there's a new person that you hear of. Like, who do you think are the up and coming people that, like, somebody who, like, who can I discover next? Who should we be looking for on Broadway?
I guess, according to your theory, Sutton Foster is a real up and comer. Thank you. 20 awards.
I wish I had a ring shot.
Okay, never heard less laughs.
Who haven't we heard of that? Because there's all these people that we know. We know who Idina Menzel is, and Kristen Chenoweth and Sutton Foster are pretty popular. Who would we have missed so far that we should be on the lookout in the next year or two?
Lindsay Mendez, I think, is an amazing singer. She was just in Godspell. Right now she's starring. Oh God, I can't remember the hell the name of the show, but Lindsay Mendez is an amazing singer. I first heard her on Broadway in Grease. She played the role of Jan, and I was just blown away by her voice. So I guess she's sort of the chick that I have my eye on for a delicious leading role. Lindsay Mendez. Google her.
Lindsay Mendez, check her out, guys. And check out Seth Ruditsky at SethTV.com. It's his TV station. Everything Seth Ruditsky is on there. Thank you so much for joining us, Seth. You've been awesome.
Sure. Thanks, guys. Peace to the out.
Sure. Guys, next week we're going to be talking to Justin and Anea, singers, songwriters, and writer-actor Ed Dixon. We saw Justin and Anea, Daisy and I did, at a show that you did, Bonnie, and Nathan Parrott did, and we thought they were absolutely amazing, and we definitely wanted to have them on the show, so we're excited to talk to them and to Mr. Ed Dixon, who has a new book out. And until then, I don't know, killing 10 seconds here. Until then, I'm Brett Chapin. Daisy will be back next week. That's Bonnie Sludikoff. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks
Bonnie.
for having me.
And we'll see you next week on La La Land with Brett and Daisy on CRN Digital Talk. We'll see you at the top.